Hey, welcome to the Randy Carricker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley, Matthew Rocchio in for Brooke, who is on maternity leave. Hello there, sir.
Hello, Randy.
Sports Hub STL presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. The Cardinals going for the crown of Major League Baseball in 2025. Although they lost last night, they've lost 2 out of 3. And Matthew he's just in his element now because the Cardinals are slumping. And he's got stuff to complain about.
Oh, yeah, so many things. I can't believe that a baseball manager made those moves. What a fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how dare he have sound, numerical reasons for making those decisions and other logical reasons for it. Damn him. How is he not right every time?
So last night, the
Tony
Cardinals
La Russa was right every time.
They were able to tie the game in the 7th because Victor Scott II led off with a double. Great baseball by Lars Nootbaar, moving him over. And then obviously the sac fly by Mason Wynn. Matthew wanted Burleson was it Burleson or Gorman you wanted to pinch hit for Pages?
Either one of them.
Okay.
Gee, what are we doing here? Come on.
Yeah.
What happened to Runway? I'm tired of being lied to by the Cardinals organization. They say one thing and do something completely different because the circumstances changed. What the heck?
So here's the
flip-floppers.
Here's the thing about Runway. I don't think that part of the process of Runway is to say, okay, well, now Nolan Gorman, you're a pinch hitter. Now, 2 years ago, Nolan Gorman was a really good pinch hitter, 4 for 10, had 3 extra base hits, a homer, and a couple of extra bases. That last year and this year, he's 1 for 7 as a pinch hitter. More recently, Pedro Pages, who did ground out, had 3 hits in his last 5 games, which for him is pretty good. He got his bat on the ball. He grounded out. But what Ali said is that he wanted to have Pages in the game for run prevention. He thinks, and I don't know why he would think this, that Pages is a better defensive catcher who calls a better game and manages the pitching staff better than Pozo does. And that was his thought process. So that was the reason that move was made. He decided to go with Pages. You know what happens is if Pages gets a base hit in that situation, then everything looks great. I think we have a tendency to forget, Matthew, how hard it is to be a pinch hitter in Major League Baseball.
They're playing a kid's game, Randy. This is easy. I could do this.
Yeah. Okay.
I once
played. Joe Torre used to tell me.
I once got 5 doubles.
Okay.
In a game.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
It's just I want to keep doing this, but based on the reaction to your Chiefs comments, no one out there actually understands sarcasm when you try to pull it off, and so it's the people freaking out about the decision making betraying him, despite the fact that for the most part, I think you could probably if you like bull down to these things and go, what are the permutations that play out like 5 or 6 batters out? I think it was the right decision in almost every case. I think you can maybe say, why aren't we seeing this pinch hitter? But the pitching decisions, in my opinion, are 100% unimpeachable. And we can get to the pinch hitting if people want to, but that's completely different. In my opinion.
Here's the thing about here, I got to see that.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
So
sorry,
we started at 10:02 and we get off on time. But here's the thing: you can make the right move. That doesn't mean it's going to work.
Which is exactly what happened because 100% Kyle Leahy staying in is the right move.
Totally the right move.
Kyle Leahy getting beat by a lefty for a double that wins the game is not going to happen very often.
He doesn't. He's been dynamic. Anybody who hasn't watched the last month of Cardinal baseball would not know that Leahy hasn't been great. But if you've been watching, you're watching us, so you've been paying attention to the Cardinals, you know that Kyle Leahy has been not only the most dominant Cardinal reliever, but probably the most dominant reliever in baseball over the course of the last month or so. And yes, you want him in the game. The reason that Ryan Helsley is in this situation that he's in, called the closer, is to close out games when you have a lead. When you're at home and you're in the situation the Cardinals were in last night in the 9th inning, the only way Ryan Helsley can do his job as the closer is for the Cardinals to get a lead and then him to close things out in the bottom of the inning. That's the way it works in baseball in 2025.
Yeah,
and has basically since the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, but I had to watch my team lose, and Ryan Helsley didn't pitch, so I'm angry,
yeah,
Randy. My pitchfork is out.
It's really difficult to win every game, and I think that's another. We love the emotion. I love the emotion. I love the fact that people are as invested in Cardinal baseball as you are. But the fact of the matter is, for 98% of the teams, you're going to win 60 and you're going to lose 60. And last night was one of the 60 that you're going to lose. Last night was not a poorly managed game. I actually took a lot of positives out of that game. Coming back from down 4-0, the resilience shown in tying the game at 4, the way they tied the game at 4. We mentioned Scott with the double, Newt Barr hitting the ball to the right side to move the runner over, and then a sac fly. That's the way you win close baseball games. Now, did the Cardinals win it? No, but I don't think there was anything really egregious that happened to cause the Cardinals to lose that game where you say, oh my God, this is a disaster and we've got to clean house. It was a loss. It was a loss among 162 games. They weren't going to win 162. They weren't going to win the rest of their games. Last night was a loss to the team, oh, by the way, that has the best record in the American League.
Chad doing a great job of showcasing the troubles and perils of sarcasm. DC3, Randy, you made it to KC Radio yesterday on 96.5 The Fan.
Yay!
They took the snippet of the Chiefs down their throat clip and didn't understand your sarcasm. Shaking my head. You were being sarcastic?
Well,
what?
Yeah, a little bit. It's they should be happy about that.
Can you? I know you can believe this, so I shouldn't phrase it that way. It's cliche and stupid. But have you seen the amount of people who responded to that snippet, essentially diving into something we've already had to debunk, which is that Casey was colluding with Kroenke to get the Rams out of St. Louis, to give St. Louis the market to the Chiefs, which again, we've already talked about on the show multiple times in our short run, that is a fallacious way to phrase what happened. But I just couldn't believe how many people, in reacting to and not being able to sense out the sarcasm, reacted by then just being like, and here's the thing that's wrong. It was insane. It was crazy to me. And here's why sarcasm is tricky, because Bach Hogg says that Marmol lost last night's game, and I don't know if he's just doing a me from 10:05 or if he's being serious.
Well, it'll go on his record as a loss, but anybody who managed that game last night, if Whitey Herzog was alive and in his prime, he would have had Leahy in the game at that point. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of times where people thought that Whitey Herzog should have pinch hit for Darryl Porter, and he didn't. Tony La Russa told Mike Matheny, by putting him in the lineup all the time, you never need to hit. There were a lot of times where Tony La Russa was in a tie game and Mike Matheny came to the plate with 2 out, and he wasn't a very good hitter. Mike will admit to you that he wasn't a very good hitter. But Tony La Russa, like Whitey Herzog, understood the importance of defense from a catcher. And same thing with Leahy. If Whitey or Tony or Joe Torre, all three of whom are in the Hall of Fame, would have been in that exact situation with Leahy in the 9th inning last night, they would have had Leahy in the game. I guarantee it. So I think none of them would have had Helsley. You didn't see Dennis Eckersley trying to protect a tie in the 9th inning. You didn't see Bruce Sutter. Well, maybe you did see Bruce Sutter, but it was in his 3rd inning when Sutter was trying to protect a tie in the 9th inning. Different game that Whitey managed than what Ollie Marmol is managing right now. But it just doesn't happen very often, at least, that a closer is in there to protect a tie in the 9th inning of a home game, because then the question becomes, you've already used Leahy. Who did you want closing last night's game if you wanted Helsley in there in the 9th? If you get a lead in the 10th, who did you want in there to protect that lead and close the game out?
To that point, my answer to the Leahy thing comes down to the fact that he was already in for one batter, and you're not using Kyle Leahy for one batter in a game that close. You don't have the arms, you don't have the bodies to get away with pitching Kyle Leahy for one batter in that situation. So as soon as he comes in and gets the one batter, I don't know why the conversation was even being had. There's lefties coming up. You can't, again, you need arms. I just don't know why people are bothered by the pitching decisions in any way, shape, or form.
And the fact of the matter is that Kyle Leahy is going to wind up being a starter at some point. He has 6 pitches. He stretched out during the offseason to be a starter. Granted, he hasn't thrown in the first 6 weeks. He hasn't thrown a ton of innings, but the capability is there, certainly, for you to have him get 1 out and then come back and pitch another inning. He's not a guy that's incapable of sitting down for between innings for a half inning and then coming back and pitching for you. He's done it. He's capable of it. He's good at it. And if Kyle Leahy is in the game today, it wouldn't surprise me. He threw 18, 19 pitches last night.
Yeah.
So he would be, I would think, available if the Cardinals need him in the 8th inning today. And I don't think that Ollie would have any qualms about going back to him.
And to do actually, again, I was being facetious, but actually parsing these moves one by one. Leaving Pages in instead of going with Gorman against a righty, you think the defensive factor of Pages over Pozo late in the game is enough that it doesn't matter with a bad lefty to care about righty lefty.
I see a lot of people on our chat that say, I've given up on Nolan Gorman. I don't know if you've given up on Nolan Gorman, why you'd want him hitting in that situation anyway.
Yeah, I haven't given up on him yet.
Okay. I haven't either. But today he's playing second base today. He's going to get 4 at-bats. They don't expect him to be – I don't think that runway means we want to give him every opportunity to pinch hit. I don't think that that's how they envision Nolan Gorman. Now, this year, Alec Burleson, 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter, and Burleson has been hot. I could see sending Burleson up there, but there are a couple of things. Number one, close game at that point. You're down 4-2. You're hoping that Pages can come through, and you might want to save Burleson for a later spot in that game.
Bach Hogg says it's not just the Leahy thing. Burley should have been in there sooner. There were a few spots we had a chance and was mismanaged. At the same time, you held Burley and he got a crucial at bat at a crucial time. Yeah. So it's like, so that's my thing is in the moment, I guess I could understand why people were mad Burley didn't come in when they were calling for him, but they eventually did use Burley. And clearly, to your point, they weren't going to put Gorman in. They're not putting Gorman into a critical situation, no matter how much the split tells you to. And honestly, I'm fine with that, because to CJ Seals' point, I wouldn't say terrible, but yeah, he's been underwhelming this season, and so I can understand why they've shifted their tact from what it was. I like when teams come out and say things, because it makes our job easier. I like that they said we're going to find ways to get Gorman going, and then again, to my point earlier at the beginning of the show, when things change, you want the people who will make decisions to change their decision-making process. Calling them out for changing their decision-making process when the variables have changed is being irresponsible and unfair to the people who have to make decisions.
And I just don't believe that there was a guarantee that the Cardinals win that game if the way that people wanted it managed is the way that it is managed.
And to your point, it is kind of, I mean, you have a game where you're down early against Tariq Skubal, and almost every other situation there, he shoves and buries you 5 feet into the dirt. You're not even reaching for a win. The fact that they're able to claw 3 earned runs onto his line, that was a very impressive day for the lineup. And in fact, for me, the fact that the offense can keep doing this against great pitchers while having, I know Nolan Arenado had a hit in that game, so that
a home run.
He had a home run, that changes things, but still, they are able to run the backside of rotations and keep up with the front side of rotations while almost every game still having either Walker, Gorman, or Arenado hitting below average OPS plus. That's impressive, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of being able to overcome some less than stellar offense. But you know what? Nolan Arenado was really hot early in the season. It's very rare that you go 6 months and have everybody hot. In fact, I would say that's probably never happened, even with the 27 Yankees. So what you want to have is, at certain times, certain players be hot, because you know that throughout the course of the season, some players are going to slump. At some point in the season, you're probably at best going to have 6 players be really hot, and then 3 guys that are not hitting as well as they possibly can. So you got what you got out of Arenado in the first month of the season. Now, he's not hitting well, but Herrera is in there and hitting the daylights out of the ball. Contreras didn't perform well in the first couple of weeks of the season. He's hitting well now. Whereas Victor Scott, not as hot as he was. Newt Bart, not as hot as he was at the beginning of the season. So it's kind of a staggered thing. You just hope that you have enough guys hot to score a bunch of runs throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, and I guess you were listing all the guys who got hot to start off the season, and now I'm wondering, is this a situation where everything's going to cool down in August and then we don't see anything? Because also, like they got the hot streaks from one of the bats down in Memphis and Sajasi. Barrera kind of had a little run there right out of the gate as well. So, have they already kind of, lit the fuse on the the August guy that they used to get out of the minors that would give them 2 weeks when they needed it when somebody got injured.
But it might be somebody that we aren't even really paying attention. Maybe it'll be JJ Weatherall. Maybe it'll be Chase Davis. It'll be interesting to see if the Cardinals need that guy, and it's hard to stay as healthy as the Cardinals have been for the first 6 weeks. It'll be interesting to see who they bring up. By the way, just going back to Ollie's argument about Pages being great at run prevention, Pozo's catcher's ERA so far this year is 2.85. Pages catcher's ERA is 3.63. Pages doing so in 1,181 plate appearances. Pozo doing his 2.94 in 404 plate appearances. I want to ask Ollie what it is that makes Pages better at run prevention when he is allowing 0.8 of a run game more per game. His ERA is 0.8 of a run higher than Pozo's.
Interesting. How many? Oh, did you said?
And Herrera's catcher's ERA 5.82. Yeah, not
wow.
great.
That's quite the jump there. Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear what his response is. I know we've asked Benji a couple times, kind of what goes into that selection of your preferred battery mate. And yeah, I'd be fascinated to know as pitchers are learning more and more about Pozo as they get used to him and things like that. And as Pages continues to get more and more comfortable with these guys, I wonder maybe if there's some things kind of jumping out.
By the way, in terms of catching base stealers, Pages at 31%, Pozo at 23%, Herrera at 0%. So if you are going to use your DraftKings Pick 6 today, and you probably should, right? Because baseball season is a great time to use Pick 6. You need to step up to the plate because it's kind of like your fastball down the middle, the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. And it's so easy. All you need to do is select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a particular statistic. Pretty easy, right? You grab your phone, you download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, and then you use that promo code STL Sports. And what they'll give you is an opportunity to pick those players. And by the way, the first time you make a $5 entry, they're going to give you $50 in Pick 6. So let's take a look at, let's see. We've got outs, we've got runs, we've got earned runs, we've got singles, we've got hits against. So let's go with some total bases for the Tigers. I think that's a pretty good thing. Now, this doesn't include stolen bases, but because Herrera's behind the plate and has that ERA that's so high, you go with your Detroit players to get a bunch of total bases. So I'm going to click a couple of them, big boy. What do you think of that?
I think it's good. I think McKinstry probably is good for it. Third on the team in total hits right now for the Tigers. Is Carpenter going to be in the lineup today? Batting left. Yeah, Carpenter. I took him the other day. He burned me, but then he obviously burned the Cardinals early yesterday. I don't know. I like McKinstry. I like Carpenter. And again, I don't think the numbers are going to play well for Riley Green because it went too well for him. Let's go with Torkelson, 4th on the hits.
Spencer Torkelson. Okay, good. And we're rooting for Palante to perform well with Herrera behind the plate today, but we're just looking at the numbers, kids. And so as we go to DraftKings Pick 6, we will click on our Detroit guys to do well against the Cardinals today, and we'll pick 2, but you can pick up to 6 with DraftKings Pick 6.
And I'm going to throw one out for you as well. I'm going to throw out an NBA one because right now I'm getting a promo for Tyrese Halliburton more on 15.5 points. That seems about easy. And I'm going to add 2 Knicks to that one. We're going to go with 2 different long, lengthy Knicks on points, rebounds, and assists. We're going to go more than 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That's easy for Mikal Bridges. And then 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists for the Jeff City native, OG Anunoby. So we're going to go more on Halliburton points and then more on Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby points, rebounds, and assists on your DraftKings Pick 6.
Okay, so I've got McKinstry, and if I go with Riley Green, is that all right?
I like that one.
Okay, McKinstry and Green are my 2 on DraftKings Pick 6. And you can cash in your baseball knowledge, and you can do it here in the state of Missouri. You can do it in Georgia. You can do it in Texas or California, a lot of other states. It is DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Here's one of the things I like about the Cardinals. And the Tigers have the best record in baseball. So let's keep this in mind. Tigers have a game and a half lead over everybody. The second place team in baseball is Philadelphia. They're 30-18. The Tigers are 32-17. So the Tigers have, it's another good reason to lose to a team. Because they have the best record in baseball. But the Tigers, for the second time in 3 games, are going to go with a bullpen game. Brant Herter is going to start for the Tigers today. Now, these work. We all remember how the Cardinals got knocked out of the playoffs by the Padres in 2021, right?
It all happened.
Yeah, or 2020. I guess it was the COVID year. But here's my point. They're going with a bullpen game. The Cardinals have Sonny Gray and Miles Michaelis and Andre Palante and Eric Fetty and Matthew Liberatore and Steven Matz. And if they want to call him up, Michael McGreevy. The Cardinals have 7 starting pitchers. And Detroit doesn't have enough to get through a 3-game series here. I would hope that will be something because, for the most part, the Cardinal starters are pitching at a pretty good clip. I would think and hope that when the Cardinals do run into the inevitable starting pitcher injury, or they get into a situation where they want to game the schedule a little bit, like the Tigers are doing and moving back Jack Flaherty to pitch within the division, the Cardinals can put a legitimate starting pitcher in the spot of the guy who isn't there. Even the Detroit Tigers can't do that. Even the Los Angeles Dodgers haven't been able to do that yet. Oh, by the way, Blake Snell now to the 60-day DL. Nice expenditure, LA. Didn't see that coming, did we? But I really do like the fact that, number one, the Cardinals they use the word intentionality a lot over there. They were very intentional in the way they utilized their starting pitchers in spring training and in April to try to keep them healthy. And we have not seen a Cardinals pitcher go on the IL, to my knowledge, right off the top of my head. They haven't had a pitcher go on the IL yet, which is pretty amazing to be at May 21st and not have had a pitcher on the IL yet. And the other part of this is that when they do, and it's not if, it's when, they're going to have somebody who's a representative major league starter be able to take that person's place, whether it's Matz or McGreevy. The Cardinals have things that other teams don't have.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of looking at things right now. It looks like this is only going to be the 3rd time they've had to do this season. So Sean Gunther, you had the one with Horton, and then obviously today. So this is only the 3rd time we've really seen these bullpens start from the Tigers this year. So some extenuating circumstances, but do you think that's why we're seeing such an odd lineup from the Cardinals? Javon Herrera behind the plate and both Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman in the lineup together.
Well, I think it's a
getaway day lineup.
Day game after a night game. And it just makes sense. You've got to get your guys. There's 2 things you want to do. You do want to keep a guy like Gorman, probably not very sharp right now, but you want to give him an opportunity. You want to give Walker his runway. But the other part of this is sometimes guys need days off, and I think that's where the Cardinals are right now. They just, I would think, this would be my guess, they want to make sure that, kind of like Tony La Russa used to do, keep guys fresh for August and September, because you don't want to wear guys out. And that's one of the reasons the Cardinals won. That's one of the reasons they were good in 2004 and they won in 2006 and they won 100 games in 2005 and went to the LCS, because they were able to preserve players because of the way they utilized players in April and May.
Samuel Howe with a very different takeaway from that list you gave than I had, which was, sounds like we should trade with Detroit.
What do you want?
Yeah, I guess let's pinpoint.
What are you trading for?
Let's pinpoint which Tiger we want here.
What do you need right now? The Cardinals.
Well, they do have an outfield that's all hitting 120 or above OPS plus.
I mean, good. So you Newt Bar is
again. We don't care about runway anymore. Sorry, Jordan Walker.
Okay.
We don't care about runway anymore.
Okay. So you get one of those guys, and then what happens when your starting pitcher gets hurt?
That could be problematic.
Yeah.
And again, this is why that's my thing is Samuel Howe. Our brains work differently because you started listing that off and said that the Cardinals had 7 starters, and something in my brain like short circuited a little bit where I was like, oh, I've heard that phrase before, and I all of a sudden I see like a World War II Berlin, but it's August in St. Louis, and those 7 starters have somehow been wilted down to 4.
Well, it has happened in St. Louis before.
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
Yeah, and John Mozeliak has tried to protect himself in the past. That's why they signed the 3 veterans last year, because he said, we have 6 starting pitchers. He said that before. And then all of a sudden you get to May and you're starting Johan Oviedo and you're trading for Mike Maroff. You know, you're doing stuff like that. And that's not a really very good way to go about your business. So I would think that if anybody should be cautious about having enough starting pitching, it's the Cardinals. And at the end of the day, they do want, and we'll see it later, they do want to develop guys. The reason that people like Gray, well, he doesn't want to be traded, but Michaelis, you couldn't trade because of the money that he was making. Palante is here, and he's going to be here for the future, and you want to give him a little bit more runway in preparing to be a winning major league pitcher. And then you look at Fetty and Matz, and those guys aren't going to be here after this year.
Fair enough. Let's turn to with a great little marketing ploy here. You rename the Getaway Day lineup to This Is Our Runway lineup.
Yeah, you could do that.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and they're home against Arizona, right? So this weekend. So I'm kind of thinking this is not a getaway day, but they are off tomorrow. So maybe it's 2 for the price of 1 is what you're getting. Like, let's see. Well, you've got your main guys in there though, right? Who needs Donovan's playing, Contreras is playing, Burleson's playing.
I think
Arenado's playing. Who needs the rest that is getting a rest today?
I think it's more people just locking in on the Herrera behind the plate and then Walker and Gorman in the same lineup. Oh, because to your point yesterday, they have been avoiding having both Walker or Gorman in the lineup in the same game. So
it's they told Herrera that he was going to get opportunities to catch, and this is an opportunity to get him to catch, and then you can get Pages 2 days of rest for 1 because of the day off tomorrow. And I'm not overly concerned about the fact that, let's see, who do we have DH in today? Oh, Contreras is at DH, off his feet. So yeah, I'm not overly worked up about this lineup. As a matter of fact, Wynn, Donovan, Contreras, Herrera, Burleson, Arenado, Gorman, Walker, Scott. I won't be surprised if this team scores half a dozen runs. Get you 60-cent drinks tomorrow. Would you be surprised if that group scored 6 runs?
Not at all. I hope that they get into the bullpen. Obviously, they will by the 3rd inning, just because the pitcher they have going doesn't pitch much more than 2 innings. So hopefully they throw in a lefty there, and we get to see some fireworks from Nolan Gorman. Nothing would feel better than back-to-back games with Nolan home runs.
Oh yeah, that'd be
different Nolans, but
wonderful.
Hey.
Matinee performer Samuel Howe, thank you. And yeah, Samuel Howe, I'm all about. Samuel Howe says, so Randy's extending Michaelis. You have me figured out, brother.
No, God.
So, and what I'm thinking is, because of his age, and because of the fact that he's seasoned now, 4 and 160 for Miles Michaelis.
Terrible.
Who would not sign him for 4 and 160? I mean, the Doyers, they have a tendency to do that kind of thing. The Mets
fits their profile.
Could use a starting pitcher. Yep.
Pissed in Japan.
Yep.
Probably will be unavailable after 1 year.
There you go.
Fits the Dodger profile to a T.
Yeah. Ozzie McGuire. It's an interesting name.
Yes.
Says, I'll take Gorman over Walker.
Why
not take them both?
I just this is one of those questions where I have to ask why. I need a number, I need a stat, I need a sentence, a phrase, a hypothesis, if you will, or else I'm just kind of wondering. Same thing with Bach Hogg here. Walker's swing doesn't look very convincing. It's like he's like he's just not committing to the swing he is engaging. Own it, Walker. Smash the bleep out of the ball. You are there for a reason.
Swing hard in case you hit it.
He does. That's the one thing. That's the only thing he does is swing hard. That's the like. And here's my thing: is like that is
Walker or Gorman.
Oh, he's talking about Walker, Bach Hogg.
Yeah.
Ozzie McGuire was talking about Gorman over.
Yeah,
Walker.
I don't see
the
that.
one thing Walker does is swing the bat hard. That's like the one thing that is quantifiably above average about Jordan Walker as a Major League Baseball player is his bat speed.
See, but not all the time. I mean,
That's fair.
When Ivan Herrera swings the bat, he swings it with conviction.
That's
I don't think that Walker always swings the bat with conviction.
I think that's fair. I think there's a difference between a guy not swinging the bat hard, not swinging it with confidence. Going to the plate with confidence and going to the plate just trying to swing the bat hard are two very different mindsets.
Right. And I think this does, to your point, go back to what Brant Brown is preaching to these guys. There are times to slug and there are times to be a hitter. Now, Walker is having trouble with both. But I like that philosophy. Sometimes you got to go up to the plate, get your bat on the ball, and just try to not strike out. Sometimes you got to swing for a home run. And when you do that, you're more apt to strike out. By the way, Austin Shiflett, geez, Randy, with a deep cut there mentioning Mike Maroth. I am such a fan of Mike Maroth because it's hard to go 9-21 in Major League Baseball, which he did for the 2003 Tigers. He led the league with 21 losses. Have any idea how good you have to be to go to the post 33 times and lose 21 of those games?
Are we forgetting 2007 Anthony Reyes?
I don't think he was that bad. Let's see, 123 earned runs. That led the league for Mike Maroth. 34 homers.
123 home runs. You're right.
34 homers and 123 earned runs.
The Cardinals only let Reyes pitch 22 games and go 2-14.
See, there's a little.
You're right. It wasn't as bad. You're right.
9-21. So yeah, that's my Mike Maroth deep cut of the day.
30 decisions is insane. And I just okay. So here's the thing. Ozzie McGuire, I love when the now this Samuel Howe says exit velo for hitters. While we're throwing this out there, Walker has a higher exit velo this season.
He does. The exit velo is there. I'm just talking about the consistent appearance of bat speed, because sometimes it looks like he kind of gets caught in between and he doesn't swing as hard. And I'm just probably not a fair comp to Ivan Herrera, who swings the ball hard and has the combination, swinging the bat hard and has great bat to ball skills. There aren't many guys like that, but to me, it's just about the consistent conviction of the swing. But yes, the reason that I love Jordan Walker, and I think he'll be fine at some point, is because of how hard he hits the ball on a consistent basis. At some point, you would think the FIP is going to come through.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's going to pay off.
Average exit velocity for Jordan Walker this season, 91.4. That puts him in the 78th percentile in Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. Nolan Gorman at 86.9, which puts him in the bottom 30 percentage of baseball. Yeah. So, yeah, not great.
I don't know what's happened to him because he used to, and maybe it is. Maybe this goes back to the hitting coach saying, okay, sometimes you've just got to try to get your bat on the ball, because that's another guy that used to just swing the daylights out of the bat, and he doesn't appear to do that anymore. Let me find here the 2003 Detroit Tigers that Maroth. Somebody was taking a shot at the general manager of that squad, and that was Dave Dombrowski.
I was going to say, is that the guy who built the 2006 squad?
Yep, 2006 squad, the 2011 squad, the Philadelphia team that went to the World Series a couple of years ago, the current Phillies. Dave Dombrowski has been a pretty good GM. So I don't think that it was I think it might have been a product of Dave Dombrowski inheriting a less than stellar group in 2003 and just didn't have anybody else. But that's why Dombrowski allowed, well, there's two things. Maroth did show them something to be able to start 33 times and lose 21 games, but there probably wasn't much else for Dombrowski to go with either.
You know what? Dombrowski might have inherited a pretty bad batch, but you know what we get to do?
What?
We get to inhale a pretty good batch because Hot Shots Tacos are here, Randy.
We love our friends at Hot Shots, and we're going to enjoy those. You know what? We enjoy Hot Shots in large part because Sports Hub STL postgame shows are brought to you by Hot Shots, and they invite you to come out to their St. Charles location on Sunday, June 1st to celebrate their 35th anniversary. The fun starts at noon with a parking lot party that features the Budweiser Clydesdales. Prizes will be given away all day. There's a darts tournament at noon, a bags tournament at 2, plus a chance to win Hot Shot Tacos for a year if you have the chance to win the Hot Shots Tacos eating contest, and that's something that we're going to do. Is we're gonna eat some of those tacos, and somebody's going to be the lucky winner. Congratulations to Hot Shots on 35 years. Hot Shots, St. Louis home for all the games, all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Justin Boyd from Hot Shots is here. How are you, sir?
Randy, I am fantastic on a beautiful day. It's great to see you. It's always great to hear your sultry sounds talking about the Hot Shots goodness that we have aligned.
It's the Hot Shots greatness.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
35 years of goodness. We've been slinging them since 1990.
It's pretty incredible. And this is going to be a great party. I'm really looking forward to it.
You know, we our last milestone was our 30th anniversary, right? And it happened during COVID, so we weren't able to have like the big blowout kind of bash and get, you know, the Clydesdales and all the mascots and car shows and parking lot stuff. So this year we kind of doubled down. You know, 35 years is something to celebrate, especially in the bar industry. You know, it's kind of hard to make it, especially and have longevity, right? Mm-hmm. So our owners were really pumped at like kind of this milestone. So we put a bunch of stuff into it. As you mentioned, the Clydesdales, the parking lot stuff, the city guys bartending, and they've done that a couple times. And let me tell you, they really enjoyed themselves when they bartended Hot Shots. And we'll have Fredbird and Louie and, you know, this, that, and the other taco eating contest. Riz. It should be
Riz and Rafe from 105.7.
Riz and Rafe.
Yeah,
man. It should be a great day. We're excited.
So a couple of things. Number one, just who you have on hand on June 1st tells you about Hot Shots association with and appreciation of the St. Louis sports community. The fact that you've got these associations with the teams says a lot about the brand that you've been able to build over 35 years.
No doubt. So we are official partners with the Blues, the Battlehawks, City. You know, so we spend a lot of, and the Ambush. Sorry, we don't want to forget about the Ambush. I know Dave loves Captain Ambush or whatever his name is. Bushwhacker. Sorry, Rock. Yeah. Tip my cap to Bushwhacker. Anyway, so we have all those sports partnerships with all the local teams, right? And it just kind of furthers the connection. You know, we have 9 locations in the St. Louis area.
And a new one, right?
New one, yeah, right down there on Lindbergh, right next to Home Depot, near the Owl, if you are familiar. And that place is awesome, right? It's kind of our new kind of concept, kind of new layout-ish, and it turned out really great. But we got 9 locations in the area, so you know, you can't drive in any direction and kind of not hit one of our spots. And, you know, just trying to build things in to be a destination. So if you're looking to go watch a City game, we have city specials and city programming and city events. Same with the Battlehawks, same with the Blues, same with the Cardinals, right? So to like make it a destination and kind of connect a little further to each of those sports individually. Like you can love the Blues and not care about the Battlehawks. Well, come for the Blues party, right? And no matter which one you're coming for, they'll all be good. You know, and we really work to like make it a cool spot and give a little extra. It's not just, hey, I'm going to go sit at a bar and watch a game.
And Justin, one of the things that I know about you, and because of the way that you market Hot Shots, is you have an emotional investment, and you always have. But I thought that what you did when the Rams left was awesome. I think everybody who loved, who had an emotional investment to that team, Hot Shots' reaction was our reaction. It was perfect. But when the Blues won the Stanley Cup, right, in 2019, same thing. The fact that you guys are emotionally invested in the St. Louis sports community, you personally, makes a difference.
Well, I look at it like this, Randy. Like I'm a big St. Louis sports guy. I've lived here all my life, right? So I'm very fortunate to kind of have the reins of this really cool, you know, sports bar brand, and like we can kind of connect in all these kind of different ways, and we're not too like, you know, bound by corporate, you know, hands, right? So if I want to put Stan Kroenke's face on a urinal, then I can absolutely do that, right?
Great.
And quite honestly, I got to be honest with you, I really should have patented that and sold them, because you know, we could have sold thousands of them. I'll tell you this, all of them got stolen while in use, right? And I think I told you that, right? I swear. And I'm talking more than like a dozen, right? So this wasn't just 1 or 2. But all the Arsenal fans, you know, hated him too. So if I had like, you know, CronkeyScreens.com or something like that, and I was selling these screens, I could have, you know, retired a thousand air or something.
So do you think that's that emotional investment? And obviously the quality of the food, the service is always great. But if you could pick out one thing that you're really proud of that sets Hot Shots apart from any other sports bar, what do you think it is?
The experience that we're providing. So like I kind of touched on earlier, I think, you know, there's a lot of great places in St. Louis to go watch a game. You know, a lot of great people doing great things in a lot of spots. I think what differentiates us in a lot of ways is kind of how we can go a little further past. So, and connect to the game experience, for the Blues playoff run they just had. All of our stores, it was almost like a playoff environment, meaning, you get the goal horns when the Blues score, you get Blues roulette, and when your player scores, you get a free root beer barrel. And like, there's all these little tiny connection points that further the experience beyond like, hey, we got good wings and good food and good pizza and cold beer and fun people. We have an extra connection to like what you love about the game. Right. And I want to use Hot Shots as like a spot where you can enjoy that experience, but a little bit extra. And there's more of a connection. Hey, you might win tickets. You might participate in a contest. You might go throw to the 3 darts and try and win a gift card. Things like that. Get you out of your chair and come enjoy a good time with us.
June 1st, the big party at the St. Charles Hot Shots. The Clydesdales are going to be out in the parking lot. Now, the other question that I have for you is, everybody here in the Sports Hub STL building. Joe Roderick, Dave Green,
sure.
Matthew Rocchio. Brooke just had a baby, so she'll be there on June 1st. Who's the odds-on favorite to win that taco eating contest?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you.
In this building.
It's Rock. It's got to be Rock.
Oh, he's
right.
Okay,
I mean, like, I know Rock is really ready to house some of these tacos. Now, I will tell you this: the taco challenge. We've been kicking around doing a taco challenge as it is. Right. We had some guys come in a week or two ago when it was Dollar Taco Day, and they each ordered 20 tacos in an attempt to each take 20 down. They were both very optimistic going in. I will tell you, they got to about 13 to 14, and they mightily slowed down very quickly. And they did need one of our new fancy to-go boxes for their extra tacos that are left. So don't get over your skis, Rocchio. I'm just saying, like, let's see where you can go. If it's a 6-pack, I think I brought 2 dozen tacos for you guys today, which are available, in the stores. And on DoorDash and things like that, so you can get them brought to your house.
And what are the rules for this contest? Is it timed? Is it like the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? How are we going to do it?
I think, on the anniversary day, we'll probably do the first to eat a specific number. So it'll likely be 10, maybe 15. First to win, first to finish them wins tacos for a year, which, Randy, that's a luxurious prize at Hot Shots. I got to be honest with you.
I don't know that you can do any better than that.
I know. It's gonna be a cool time. And we by the way, just before I get out of here, we just launched a new menu. So we got a bunch of new wing sauces, some new pizzas, some new sandwiches, including a Cuban, and we brought back red hot riplets on a sandwich. Yeah. So that just launched last week. So we got a lot of cool stuff happening, and it's a good time at Hot Shots always.
Love Hot Shots, love your support. Thanks you very
much,
and thanks for the tacos. We're gonna eat a few while we're on the air here.
You guys enjoy yourself, and we'll see you soon. All right,
Justin Boyd from Hot Shots. Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you June 1st.
Can't wait, Randy. I'll be there.
All right, June 1st. Hot Shots, St. Charles. It's going to be a great time. As you see, the parking lot party, Rizzuto and Rafe are going to be there. The pictures with the Clydesdales. You've got St. Louis City SC, celebrity bartenders. Louie and Bushwhacker are going to be there. Prizes all day, and you will just have an absolutely fabulous time. So check it out over at Hot Shots Bar and Grill. As Justin mentioned, 9 area locations. But the big day, June 1st, we're going to have a great time at the Hot Shots in St. Charles.
How do you get picked to do the market research for a taco eating contest? I want to know how those guys.
You just have to send in a letter.
We getting into the tacos. We'll get into
it. I need you guys to know, though.
Yes.
In addition to that party, we've also got a big party coming up at the St. Louis Sports Show. The 2025 STL Sports Show is going to take place at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield on Friday, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st. There's going to be an autograph signing from stars such as Grant Fuhr and Ryan O'Reilly, Roman Berkey, Armand Membu of the Jets, former Mizzou player, 7th pick in the draft, by the way, and many more. Tons of vendors with trading cards and all kinds of memorabilia. It's going to be a great time. All you need to do is go to stlsportshow.com to find out the schedule and all the information. VIP packages and photo ops are available for most of the athletes. And right now, when you use the code SHOW15, that's SHOW 15, you can get 15% off of tickets for Grant Fuhr, Ryan O'Reilly, and Roman Berkey. It's the 2025 STL Sports Show, Friday, May 30th through Sunday, June 1st at the Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield. Go to stlsportshow.com. Okay, Matthew, as you can see, or will see momentarily, has gotten things started with the fabulous
I couldn't help myself. I mean, what am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
I couldn't help it. We're just gonna be eating between takes.
Yeah.
the rest of the entire
we will.
show.
Yeah. So he'll talk, I'll eat. I'll talk, he'll eat.
Well, luckily we have an audio clip coming up in our next segment.
Okay, good.
So that's
there we go.
Free eating time, baby.
Okay, so the NFL owner, and let's check here. The NFL was supposed to vote this morning. The Detroit Lions, by the way, took their proposal for changing the seeding of the playoffs. They took that off the table. We still don't have word on the tush push, but we did find out from Adam Schefter that Jason Kelsey is in the owners' meeting talking about how the tush push is fine, that nobody's gotten hurt from it, and he doesn't see any problem with it. It'll be interesting to see and hear what effect Jason Kelsey has when he discusses the tush push with NFL owners. But the Lions, as we mentioned, withdrew their proposal to reseed the playoffs. In an effort to keep late season games more competitive, Lions proposed a bylaw that would only guarantee the division winner in each conference with the best record a home playoff game. The rest of the playoff field would have been seeded strictly by record. So you'd have the team with the best record in the conference getting a home playoff game. Nobody else is guaranteed a home playoff game. The rest of the field would be seeded by record. Mike Tomlin, who is a kindred spirit, wasn't in favor of the reseeding proposal. He said, I'm a division purist, to be quite honest with you. I love the rivalries that are in division play. I love the structure of our scheduling that highlights it. I just categorize myself as a division purist. I think the division winner should get a home playoff game. There wasn't enough support from league owners to approve Detroit's proposal, so the Lions withdrew it before a formal vote. My question would be, Matthew, if you were going to set it up this way, that only the team with the best record in the conference would get a home game, what would the point of divisions be?
Making the scheduling make sense. You and I have had this exact discussion in a vacuum outside of this story. Mm-hmm. We've talked about, because I am the opposite of Mike Tomlin. I am a division anarchist or radicalist, I guess you would call it. I understand the divisions are there because they make the schedule pretty, and they make the standings nice and pretty, and they make us, and they give us a way to like couch and look at the sports in a really nice, easy way. And they are for that purpose, they are extremely useful. And for some scheduling purposes of like actual like geographic reasons, there's some purpose for divisions. I really do not think divisions should have so much effect on playoff seeding. I'm the complete opposite way there. I think it was terrible when Seattle was getting home games at 7 and 9. I know that can't happen anymore because of the scheduling, but anyhow, the spirit of that happening, I think, was a problem. And you can argue that maybe the Lions rule change went a little bit too deep, but I think at the surface, taking away home playoff games from division winners who are not winning teams, or who only win 9 or 10 games while the rest of the conference division winners are winning 12, I am 100% behind that part of the rule.
So, and here's my point. If you're going to have, and right now you have 14 playoff teams,
gotta get a bite,
right? You've got a 7. Yeah, I will. But for example, last year, I guess the Chiefs would have had a bye, so you would have had Denver missing the playoffs. It would have been Pittsburgh at Buffalo, the Chargers. No, I'm sorry. Denver would have made it. They would have been the 7th. So it would have been Denver at Buffalo, Pittsburgh at Baltimore, and then the Chargers at the Texans in the opening round. And you still would have had the Bengals and the Colts missing the playoffs. Then in the NFC, this is why Detroit did it, because they had the best record, and even though they lost at home, they had the best record. So you would have had the Packers at Philadelphia, Washington at Tampa, even though Washington won their division, and the Vikings at the Rams, which the Rams finished 10 and 7.
Yeah, Vikings
so it wouldn't have been dramatically different than what you already have.
I just think everything else equal, in just that situation, the Vikings should have had a home game, and the Rams should have been on the road. I know the Rams won their division. The Vikings won 4 more games than the Rams. There's no reason where we're talking. I mean, that is a 60 win, and that is a 55 win NBA team having to host a 42 win NBA team. Well, shouldn't happen.
If you don't like it, play better, right?
They did play better. No, the Minnesota Vikings played better.
They should have won their division. You've got to win your division. That's the rule.
Should I know that's the rule. My point is that the rule is bad, and that it's not actually taking the best teams and giving them the pros they should be given.
So you don't think
in fact,
either Giants Super Bowl champion that beat the Patriots should have been in the playoffs?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yes, in this situation, they wouldn't have been in the playoffs. You're correct. And
the Raiders,
yes,
1980.
it would have. Yes, you're right. Those would have been travesties. But the point is that another team could have gotten in that also could have had a very similar story that would be just as incredible.
So why change the history of the league?
I just think that's you change rules when you get enough reason when there's enough reasoning to be like this. There's enough holes in this rule that we need to close off the gate. And I think having as many situations that they've had, not just in later rounds. Later rounds is one thing, but I'm for it. That's why I like the idea of reseeding. But first round matchups where there is such a stark difference in the team hosting and the team having to travel in a sport where we acknowledge that home field advantage is a large factor to the point where we took it away from teams in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Should you not get home field advantage if across the season, even though 6 of your games are against your division, shouldn't the majority of your schedule be matter more, which is I won enough games that or I guess maybe to your point, shouldn't we just like prioritize division record over anything, division in record more than overall record?
See, this is where I'm kind of like Mike Tomlin, because and maybe I'm held hostage by my youth, but what I loved growing up, I loved hating the Cowboys. I loved hating the Redskins. I loved hating the Eagles. I loved hating the Giants. I loved the rivalries. And the same thing with the Rams. I loved hating the Seahawks. I loved picking on Russell Wilson. I loved hating the San Francisco 49ers. I Cardinals, not so much because that was my childhood team, but I love and I think the reason that we love sports is because we're able to generate emotion because we hate teams and players. And if you're going to take away divisions, you're going to lose all of that. You're going to lose that rivalry, and you'll just play a random schedule every year, and you won't ever develop a hatred for another team.
I'm not saying take away division. No, I'm saying keep divisions for scheduling.
But
I agree.
Then what's the point? Because
exactly
that's not fair either.
Why not?
Because you last year had, for example, the very tough NFC North and the very weak NFC South. So why should the Minnesota Vikings have to play a more difficult schedule with the way you're setting it up than the Atlanta Falcons do?
Because you can't, with the way that the NFL builds their schedules, you can't ever have balanced schedules across the entire league.
Sure you can.
They'd have to change how they build the schedule.
Well, you'll wind up with, let's just say you have a 17-game schedule. You play the other 14 teams in your conference. It's the only way it makes sense.
But if your conference is really, but we still see this in the NBA. If there's conference discrepancies, we still get this argument that one conference is bad, the other conference is much better. So therefore, your schedule was light. My schedule was heavy.
If we don't care about winning a division, what's the point of having a division?
What does winning the division show right now?
And in the NBA, by the way,
you play well. Your division games are 6 of your 17 games. So what does playing well in the division do for me now? I can still be a losing team and dominate my division. Shout out Jeff Fisher's Rams. I can do that all day long, and it doesn't matter for me as a playoff team. So I guess my point would be why, to your point right now, winning your division right now does not show that you dominate your division, your in-division teams. It helps because 6 of 16, but now it's 6 of 17. I know that's not a big difference, but the math has changed slightly. It'll change even more when it goes to 6 of 18. And so your divisional games matter less. So why not? So why is division so important to you, I guess?
Because for me, winning the division should result in being rewarded with a home playoff game. If you aren't going to be rewarded for winning your division, what's the point of having a division?
If I'm not going to be rewarded for winning 14 games, why should I win 14? Why, like if I guess if you're, because you have to, from the Vikings perspective, winning 14 games was the same as winning 10 games for them last season. So why?
No, because the Packers won 11.
Okay, well they still would have been. Wasn't the Oh, I lost my NFL standings. I thought there was not 3. Oh, sorry, you're right. Sorry. Oh, sorry. The extra 3 wins though to beat the Packers. Like if you're just 11 and 6 and you win your division games, then you're in the playoffs fine. And that's like to that point, division still matters. I guess my point is just 6 of your 17 games being the most important part of your schedule. I understand it, and I still think that creating and manufacturing rivalries is important because you're still playing those teams 2 times a year, and it manufactures that. So it's good for fandom. But we're talking about the point of the playoffs.
But
I guess
would it be fair though, if like last year, Tampa gets to play Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans for 6 of their games. Detroit has to play Minnesota, Green Bay, and the Bears for 6 of theirs. Clearly different qualities of teams that you're playing against. So why should we have Tampa Bay get that advantage of getting to play a bad Falcon team, a bad Panthers team, and a bad Saints team, and the Lions have to play a good Vikings team and a good Packers team twice each? If we're going to have, if there's no reason to have, if we're going to have rewards for the divisions, why should we have divisions?
So your point is that system would be flawed. It would take away the importance.
If you aren't going to use your divisions to determine, if you aren't going to be rewarded for winning your division, then just get rid of the divisions.
That's fair. And you're saying that
have an NFC and an AFC.
The way that the schedule is built right now creates unfair advantages because you have to play a heavy schedule within your division, and your division might be so much better than anybody else's division.
And maybe the way to go here is like the NHL used to do it, where you just have everybody thrown in a pot. So you don't have any conferences anymore at all. So so the Lions would have had the best record last year. They would have played 1, 2, 3. Let me go down to 14.
I've wanted the NBA to do this for
6,
years.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would hate that.
Just 1 through 16.
Just because I like having that emotional investment. And I know some people like to see different teams every year. I like what I like most about sports is having another team to dislike. I really dislike the Winnipeg Jets and Scott Arniel right now.
You're talking about rivalries and scheduling, or rivalries and in fairness to the playoffs. Sorry, let me separate those things. Because correct, rivaling and scheduling will always be connected. That's fair. But you don't have to get rid of the rivalries by doing the scheduling by changing the playoffs. You just kind of separate the two. They don't have to be connected anymore.
But my point is, then what's the point of having the division?
Because you're manufacturing. Again, it's artificial, but this is entertainment. So it's 100% artificial. But like the Rams playing the 49ers, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, 100% built a hatred in me of those teams. There's no doubt about that. But I just think I always separated my hatred of those teams in those 6 games. Like that was I was able to compartmentalize. That was one thing. And then the Rams' ability to play in the playoffs is a completely separate thing.
See, and I always go back to like every coach I ever covered coming up to a division game, big division game.
That's true.
Because you got rewarded for winning your division.
I guess, is my mind broken because of Jeff Fisher's Rams winning and playing so well in the division and then doing jack outside of it? Did Jeff Fisher, this would be about the 5th time in about the last 2 years that I've had a conversation of, did the Rams break my brain in X ways?
Yeah, probably.
But is this another thing where the Rams broke my brain?
Yeah, they weren't very good, but they always played well against Seattle, right?
Blessed. This is like the 4th way where a lot of your 30s is figuring out the trauma your parents laid onto you.
Tush Push lives. The proposed ban of the Tush Push did not receive enough votes at the spring meeting today, and so Philadelphia gets to keep running their play.
As they should, because I don't understand. I don't understand legislating strategy out of a game. And one of the things that jumped out to me is that the player safety committee was for it, even though, to your point, there is not a statistical fact that there are more injuries because of the tush push play.
There's not one injury, not a single injury.
Chris Jones apparently got injured during the tush push.
Okay, that's the first I've heard of that, because the league statistics have shown that there haven't been any during this.
But are you surprised that the one anecdote is a Chiefs star player? I shouldn't say that. A star player from the NFL. Of course, there's one anecdote that we have, and it's one of the star players from the most important team right now. He apparently got hurt. So now it's an injury issue. Even though it
wasn't a debilitating injury either. Didn't knock him out for any appreciable time.
Even to your point, there's no wide-ranging stat saying it's more dangerous. So I'm not sure why the NFL Players Safety Commission is even saying we should outlaw this because of safety. What is your rationale? And unless it's we were like, is it simulations? I'm very confused. What is their basis on facts, not just we feel like it might eventually cause injuries? Yeah. Why do they think it's a safety issue?
And I heard Moose Johnston, who's on that commission, talking about how They're worried about basically a couple of tons of humanity all falling on each other. But that happens on every play.
It's football.
Right? It is. And so, especially for Moose Johnston, of all people, to be saying that they're really worried about it, until something bad happens. Usually the NFL waits until something bad happens, don't they? I have no idea why they're so concerned. But clearly, there weren't enough teams that weren't concerned about it. So the brotherly shove, the tush push lives on. Now, here's what my complaint would have been if the ban would have taken place. In 2005, the NFL changed the rule from you can't push a player forward to allowing a player to be pushed forward because they said it was too difficult to enforce, that officials couldn't see that play well enough to be able to accurately call it. And I was talking to an NFL official just the other day. He said, you're exactly right. It is very difficult to enforce. So how would Roger Goodell have come to that podium and said, yeah, we banned the tush push, and then it's Roger Goodell, I get it. But then with a straight face, been able to say, yeah, the officiating has gotten better since 2005, and the guys, now they see better 20 years later. I'm just not buying that. By the way, there was news this morning, and the reason I kind of joke about Roger Goodell is because he's apparently going to get a contract extension, and he's making upwards of $40 million a year. He'll probably go up beyond $50 million a year. Did I say 1,000? 40, upwards of 40 million. He'll get more than 50 million with his new contract. This is a guy that in 2013, October of 2013, was on a phone call with, I think, Art Rooney III of the Steelers, or Dan Rooney, one of the Steelers owners, and Stan Kroenke. And there was another owner on the call. I don't remember who it was. And an NFL lawyer was listening in, taking notes. And in the call, Stan Kroenke, and this came out in the depositions, in the discovery for the St. Louis lawsuit against the NFL. So Stan Kroenke says to Roger Goodell and Rooney, he says, yeah, I bought this piece of land in Los Angeles, and I'm going to build a stadium on it, but I don't want this to get out there. I want this to fly under the radar. And Goodell, on the phone call, said, we will respect your wishes, Stan. We'll keep it quiet. Then the news breaks, as Kevin Demoff calls the LA Times the Friday night before the Super Bowl in New York, and word breaks that Kroenke has bought the land to build the stadium on. And at the Super Bowl press conference, Roger Goodell steps to the podium in New York before thousands of media members and is asked by Jim Thomas, or no, it was Sam Farmer of the LA Times. He's asked, what has Stan told you what he plans to do with that land? And Roger Goodell says, well, the owners have to tell me what they're going to do with land. And Stan, he develops land all over the world. We don't know what he plans to do with this land in Los Angeles, but all we know is that he develops plots of land all over the world, and he hasn't told me that he plans to build a stadium on it. When Kroenke had told him in October, 3 months earlier, that he planned to build a stadium on it. Does that sound like a lie to you?
Pretty, yeah.
So to make a short story long, lying pays.
Oh, that's what we were doing this whole time. We were ending with lying pays.
Well, for Roger Goodell, it does.
Yeah. Any young kids, plug your ears. I'm not about to curse or anything, but this is just the one of the toughest parts about growing up. Not only just reevaluating your traumas, is realizing that again, thank you, Jeff Fisher, and I love my parents. Is realizing that being a good person ain't worth shit.
No, it's not. That's 100% right. Smooth Productions.
Unfortunate.
Randy, during that press conference after it was announced the Rams were moving to LA, how bad did you want to punch Kroenke in the face? Pretty bad. But both Frank Cusimano and Martin Kilcoyne tell me that they thought, and I didn't think this way, they thought I was going to kill Kevin Demoff because he wanted to walk away and he didn't want to do a press conference. So I literally chased him down and grabbed him and did a one-on-one interview with him. Yeah. So that was, and then I was kind of mean to him, which I should have been, right?
Yes.
But I think if there was somebody that I was going to injure that evening, January 12th of 2016, I think it would have been Demoff.
Yeah, that's
because I had access to him.
Jeff Katubi says, I'm not going to curse. Immediately curses. That was a light one. That doesn't count. Only if you're the FCC and you're going to be a baby
We
about
aren't the
it.
FCC.
No.
Are we governed by that? We're on the interwebs.
Not at all. I went light.
Hey, there's a lot worse stuff than us going around on the interwebs.
Especially with me, who listens to too many British comedians.
Yeah.
They curse at a
by the
new
way,
level.
good point about from Bubs. Isn't there something better that the NFL can focus on other than the tush push? I would think so.
You'd think.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, no, because it's the NFL. So if there's something one team can do and the other 31 can't, they will inevitably come together and say, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah. By the way, the player safety group was for the ban, and we don't have the final vote yet on the tush push, but it does seem like the tush push is going to be here maybe for the foreseeable future. Sorry, Packers.
I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but are you surprised that NFL owners didn't find a way to put a kibosh on this Olympic thing?
Oh no, they're working so hard to globalize this sport.
God, yes, you're right.
They want those faces, and especially if the players don't have to wear helmets.
God, that's
in
a good
flag
point.
football, they can globalize these players like Jordan, like Shaq, like even from Greece, Giannis, like Kobe Bryant was. These players can become global megastars because they're performing in the Olympics.
I was kind of fascinated here. I want to play it. Justin Jefferson spoke for a couple minutes the other day. He's one of the ambassadors, and just the pure excitement that these players clearly have about this is pretty cool.
I'm just a loss of words. It's just seeing the amount of kids that are really involved in this sport, seeing the women and men being involved, and seeing it now being on a global stage is something that's so special. Even though it's 3 years down the line, and then they're still planning and who's going to be on the team and all, but just to think about the chances of playing in the Olympics and getting a gold medal is a dream. Just reverting back to being a kid and watching the track and field meets, watching basketball win the gold medal. So that's something that as a kid I always wanted to be a part of, but football wasn't globally. So now that we're expanding the game and we're going more globally, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and just seeing all of the different countries being involved, and seeing athletes like BA coming to America to play this sport, and it's just so many different athletes all around this league that we have that come from different areas of this world. That the talent is out there. It's just this game needs to be expanded and to be played all around the world. So I'm just honored to be an ambassador for this flag thing that's going on.
And you said it right there. Justin Jefferson, he points all out the connections to the international game and just continually to get the NFL out there. There's a league in Italy. There's a league in Germany. We're actually starting to see talent come out of the German league for the most part, and obviously not skill positions, but we're getting a lot of linemen and linebackers coming out of Australia, New Zealand, things like that.
I agree with Justin Jefferson, and I would feel the same way. If I were a player, that is the exact way that I would want to feel. And when we talk to people, like we used to talk to Adam Wainwright every week, and he was so excited about wearing USA on his chest. Look at the NBA players that go and are so excited to play for their country, and they don't get paid for it. Sure, they're getting endorsements, but they aren't getting paid from USA Basketball for this. And these players aren't going to be paid either. They get a chance to represent their country, which I think is cool. But I also like the fact that some guys are saying, I'm gonna work on my job. AJ Brown said, I heard the Olympics is during camp. He said, so yeah, that'd be tough. That'd be fun to compete. Me personally, no, because of camp. You guys would be complaining. AJ Brown isn't in camp. So would the fans. So I'm going to keep the main thing. He wants to be in training camp and work with the Eagles.
I feel that for him. And he's obviously, maybe he's also doing some math and realizing that he's a big wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And in 3 years, he's not going to really be a fast wide receiver very much anymore either. And so he's not really going to be the wide receiver they're going to be looking for. The wide receiver who's going to be starting for the USA team is playing college right now, if I had to guess, or just recently came out of college. Lex Luthor, the richest man in the world. The problem is flag football won't ever be in the Olympics again after 2028. This isn't like the Dream Team in 1992 where basketball was an Olympic sport like 1932 and will be forever. Here's the thing, though. You get the Olympics in your country, you get the control over some of the games, you highlight one of your country's games, and as I just said, there are already, I know this surprises some people, it sounds like I'm making it up, but there are full-fledged American tackle football leagues, professional, in European countries that are not being subsidized by NFL Europe or anything like that. These are their own whole ass leagues with multiple teams and everything like that, with coaches that have been coming over from the States to coach them for the last 10 years.
Matthew,
it's going to be global, more global than you expect in 10, 15 years from now.
20
100%.
years ago, would you have imagined that half pipe would be such a big deal in the Olympics, or that in the summer games, skateboarding would be as big a deal as it is, or sand volleyball would be as big a deal as it is in the Olympics? If this draws ratings, especially in this country, the IOC will be all over it. And with the NFL being involved, the NFL knows how to market. And the NFL, if the IOC can get in bed with the National Football League and the NFL wants flag football to be part of the Olympics, they can have flag football be part of the Olympics. That's how big and powerful the NFL is. And I have to believe when we see the crowds that come to NFL games in Europe, that European people will be clamoring to have flag football in the Olympics.
Okay, I'm predicting the Final Four of this 3 years in advance. I'm predicting the Final Four, okay?
Yep.
Final Four teams will be America, the team that beat us in the youth version of this, Japan, Canada, because obviously, and then my fourth one, I think I'm going to have to go with Germany. I think that's my Final Four. I'm predicting it right now. Get your bets in. I don't know if DraftKings has it up yet, but they will eventually. That's my predictions for the Final Four, because that is overwhelmingly where we see the majority of talent in the youth ranks. As we look at the event that happened last year, that you were beside yourself. The United States lost.
That was real football.
And the reason again that I'm knocking out Australia and New Zealand is it's all linemen right
How about though?
It's all linemen.
Like Jamaica.
I guess they could put together a purely skill-based team. That's a good point. They don't have, they're not putting together an 11-man squad with linemen and things like that right now. So I guess I was kind of going with the combination of who has great athletes and who's locked into the football mindset and who's shown up. You're right. They put together a bobsled team.
Yeah.
Never know.
So
that's a good call. Actually, that's a really good call, actually.
There are some countries that I think will have the chance to do that. That'll be pretty cool. Let's talk a little NBA. And last night, OKC thumps Minnesota in the first game of the Western Conference Finals.
It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. Anthony Edwards heads. We're fine. We're doing good.
Well,
we're fine.
He's got the ankle. It is interesting, though, because like for somebody that's Matthew's age, we're going to have an NBA champion that he has never known to be a champion before. Even I'm pretty close, because the last time the Knicks won was 1973. I do remember that vaguely, but for you, probably you don't remember the Knicks winning a championship. I know you don't remember the Pacers winning an NBA championship. I know you don't remember the Timberwolves or the Thunder winning an NBA championship, although the Seattle Supersonics did in 1979. Doesn't count?
Technically, the Thunder, when they were created, ceded the claim on any history for Seattle.
There we go.
But right now, the NBA technically says it's the same franchise because the NBA does things on their own thing. But the Thunder said when they were started, we give up any history, and I think the NBA's stance is that whenever Seattle gets an expansion team again, they will, that 79 franchise title will then revert to Seattle. But I think technically right now there are lists that will tell you that OKC had one as the Seattle Supersonics, but OKC does not claim that. They have never won a title. They do not claim it. 100% multiple teams that have never won one before.
Okay, so and we certainly have I'm just looking at I wonder if like Sean Kemp's number is retired.
Yeah, I don't. They shouldn't have that hanging in down in OKC. They should not have that hanging in the drafters. I really hope they don't.
Gus Williams.
God, I hope they don't. That left shrimp.
Nick Collison, Bill Russell.
Nick Collison is retired because he's the original Thunder.
Okay. Nate McMillan, in Seattle. Lenny Wilkins, Seattle. Spencer Haywood, Seattle.
So they don't.
Jack Sikma, Fred Brown. So, and then their TV play-by-play guy from 67, 68 to 91, 92.
I think we're in the clear.
So anyway,
so they don't claim.
The point is, none of us have ever seen Oklahoma City win a championship. And you look now, Matthew, at what's happening in the NBA, and I love the fact that we're seeing new blood here. And you had this statistic from 2000 to 2019, one seed outside the top four made the conference finals. From 2020 to 2025, that number has jumped up to more than that. And baseball has created playoffs where lower seeds have a greater chance of success. But I think this goes beyond that. I think that each of these franchises, because they have young stars, Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana with Jalen Brunson, who's relatively young with the Knicks, and obviously SGA with OKC and Ant-Man with Minnesota. All of these teams have stars that make sustaining success seem reasonable to me.
Yeah, and that's huge for the NBA. And Lex Luthor earlier in the comment was talking about how the new CBA, while it has undoubtedly pissed off a lot of NBA teams, it looks like it's going to be better for NBA fans. And maybe this parity is now one of the things. You were talking about that stat. That was from Howard Beck, did an incredible piece on The Ringer called Welcome to the NBA's Age of Chaos. And this was kind of the linchpin stat. One bottom four seed made it to the conference finals in those first, from 2000 to 2019. 20 times, one team, it was a 5 seed. So no 6, 7, or 8 that entire run. In just the last 6 years, you've had 7 bottom 4 seeds.
That's great.
Make it to the conference finals. It's unbelievable. In fact, I love this little stat thing that he threw in here that was kind of wild. The average seeding of a conference finalist from 2000 to 2019 was 1.95. The average seeding from 2000 to 2025, 3.45.
Wow.
So there's that. I mean, that shift of the stat. You almost doubled the stat in a third of the time. Just an insane number. And I honestly think it is better because I know that there's some people who are arguing that it's bad because the NBA established itself with dynasties. But I'm on the other side because I came into the NBA as a fan in the early 2000s, and I was getting annoyed by dynasties. I was bothered by dynasties. I loved what the Detroit Pistons threw into the wrench there in 2004. And then we went right back into the dynasty area. The Spurs capped off another one. Then we had the Mavericks get a couple in there, but then obviously the Heatles happened, the Warriors, so on and so forth. So I'm not a big fan of these dynastic runs because we're getting great players still without the dynastic runs. They're just spread out a little bit and they come together and they spread out again. So I love this area of the NBA. I love that we've had different teams to watch, and it's given us some incredible storylines. I mean, the Cavs coming back against the Warriors, that Raptors team, this run over the last few years of the Warriors hitting again with a new team. The Celtics and the Nuggets both getting wins, and the Bucks with Giannis. I mean, these have been incredible runs. I know people want to complain about the ratings. I love where the NBA is at right now.
And you know what's interesting is that NBA ratings in St. Louis, once the Blues are done playing and it's NBA versus NHL, NBA basically doubles the NHL in ratings.
The only time that didn't happen was last year.
Yeah.
Last year was the only playoffs where without the Blues, you could do the whole playoffs, and the NHL ratings actually did better than NBA last
and this
year.
year it's back to being doubled.
Right back to being doubled.
A couple of notes from you guys on the text line, and we do appreciate you joining us in the chat. The St. Louis Slam, Mason Windu, the St. Louis Slam STL needs an NBA team. If we ever get an NBA team back, okay, I'll take you back to Y2K when Bill Laurie did buy the Grizzlies. He was going to move them here. The NBA said, no, you got to wait a year. You got to keep him in Vancouver for a year. He didn't want to, so he gave up on the purchase. Michael Heisley buys them, waits a year, and moves them to Memphis. But when the Grizzlies were going to move here, the name of the team was going to be the St. Louis Rhythm, so that Bill Laurie owned the Rhythm and Blues. I am of the belief that if we ever do get a chance to get another NBA team, and I don't think that's going to happen, but I think the name should be the Spirits of St. Louis.
Those are the only two candidates, in my opinion. Those are literally the only two candidates. You
What about
cannot
the
convince
St.
me-
Louis expired license plate tags?
I mean, it's got the local flavor, but beyond that, no. Those are the only two team names, and you already explained why. Spirit of St. Louis, one of the greatest basketball jerseys ever invented, real or fictional. Orange is an underused color overall.
Yes.
Love
orange.
in sports, love it. Use it more.
Yep.
In fact, just go orange and then just completely steal the checkerboard thing from that other franchise that does it.
Tennessee.
Whatever. Yes. So 100%. Or I've
Top.
always loved the idea
Rocky
of
Top
the Rhythm being the basketball team. It makes sense. I've always thought we could just steal the Jazz, renaming them the Rhythm, keeping the Jazz.
Oh, yeah,
either way, Randy, I've had this for years.
How about
You ready for this?
Nolans? Nolans, I think, is the one vulnerable franchise.
Yeah, obviously. Well, yeah, the Pelicans, and we rename them the Rhythm as they should be named. Or we take the name Jazz, and Utah can take whatever lily white name they want to have over there in the mountains.
Yeah, the wives.
Exactly. Hey, there you go. That's a good one. Or what they should have been named, the hockey team, the Yetis.
Yeah.
But the Rhythm makes sense because and I have your first season hashtag.
Okay.
Hashtag new sound in town.
Oh, I like this. Okay, good.
By the way, the hashtag when the Sonics come back, I already have this one written as well. Fleischman Hillard, farm this one out. Just give me like 1% of it. Hashtag the boom is back.
Oh, nice.
I mean, come on now. Come on, guys.
The Battlehawks are home. You might see on the schedule that they're on the road. Well, the San Antonio Brahmas can't get their stadium for Friday night. So the Battlehawks are here in St. Louis on Friday night, 7:00. Get your tickets for the Battlehawks. And they're going to try to beat up on the 1-7 Brahmas. And looking forward to it. A couple of big losses yesterday for the Battlehawks. They had to put a couple of players on IR, but they're going to be really good, and they are going to play here in St. Louis in the XFL Conference Championship game. And we want you to know that you can learn everything you need to know about the Battlehawks here on Sports Hub STL. Be sure to catch Battlehawks Hub Weekly. It's available on Sports Hub STL with Luke Slaybaugh and Judy Strotter, and they'll get you ready for every game and then have the post game every week. And it's presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. With the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box, you can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets. Plus, get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for just $8.99. They're absolutely delicious. I've had them, and they're only at Lee's Famous for Chicken.
Can I get one more question on this topic?
Yes.
Because while we're talking about the NBA finally getting some lower seeds in, because literally beforehand, this was not something we could talk about with the NBA. It didn't exist. So now that it exists, I want to bring this conversation into something we were talking about earlier, which is you mentioned the Giants runs out of the wild card. Wild card runs in the NBA, in the NFL, have been one of the best things about the last 25 years of the NFL. I think that's pretty unequivocal. But at the same time, we both agree that the NBA is better off by adding some early round potential changes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then why are baseball fans so against the addition of a wild card?
Baseball fans are many times stuck in the past. It's interesting to talk to old-timey people. I'm old-timey, but I'm different. I'm kind of like I'm the cool old-timey guy. But they hate the idea of putting steroid guys in the Hall of Fame because they think the numbers are 61 for Roger Maris and 755 for Henry Aaron and 715 for Ruth. So they think, baseball people think that the essence of the game has been ripped away because of different things. Same thing with the wild card in baseball. Back in the day, until 1969, if you won the National League, you were in the World Series. If you won the American League, you were in the World Series. There were no playoffs. 69, you get divisions. And the best baseball I will ever see in my life, 1985, the Cardinals and the Mets were going for it, and there were only 2 playoff teams in each league. And so you had the Western Division champion, but the 2 best teams in the league, everybody knew, were the Cardinals and the Mets. So you had 2 teams rumbling down the stretch that were the best teams in the league, and one of them was going to have to go home. And man, was that exciting. Now, I think you've lost a lot of that excitement because of the presence of the wild card team, which at the outset of the wild card, when there was only one, had a chance to win the World Series. Now, not so much.
And I don't want to compare apples to oranges, but I am comparing leagues and games here. So I'm just trying to figure out because other leagues are the same way where there used to be less playoff rounds and now it's been diluted or expanded. You can look at it either way you want to. Is it would the NFL be better off if every year the two best teams played in the Super Bowl?
No, but the NFL is different because it's one and done. Something fluky can happen.
And I was in that thing, something fluky can happen. And also an aspect of this is, and you Mama's getting to this before I can, the season is 162 games. Adding more and more wild cards diminishes winning over 162 game season. Undoubted there. My question, my response to that is, and this I think works because it's not one game, it's playoff series. And the season is just as long, even though there's not as many games, which is, if that's the mindset with baseball, why is it actually a good thing that hockey has two separate seasons? Why is it a good thing that you play a different game in playoff hockey than it is regular season? Whereas opposed, it's a bad thing in baseball to have two starkly separated seasons, whereas in another sport, why do you think there's a difference between those two?
I think because of the intensity of hockey, because I had to tell and this was in the first round of the playoffs, Blues and Winnipeg, I had to remind myself to breathe. I don't think you ever get that in baseball. Because
one game, two games in my life,
multiple games. But the other thing is it's action.
Yeah.
You can go upstairs and grab a soda if you're watching in the basement in a baseball game and walk back downstairs, and the likelihood is you're not going to miss anything. But in hockey, it's up and down the ice. It's intense. It's almost like it kind of feels like sudden death to me all the time in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It doesn't feel like that in baseball. That being said, when you have the home team, like the one-game playoffs, we all remember what happened in the one-game playoff against the Dodgers, right?
Yep.
We all remember what happened and it wasn't a one-game playoff, but it was a wild card best of three. We all remember what happened with Jose Quintana when we had the playoff against the Phillies. I think that there is drama to be had from baseball early on, but now, man, the good teams have gotten so much better than the mediocre and the bad that we know that it's going to be the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Mets in the National League. It's not going to, as good as the Cardinals are playing, they aren't going to win 4 out of 7 against one of those teams. It's just not going to happen.
I'll admit I have a small sample size in my favor right now, but it has happened in baseball.
With whom?
You have had wild card teams go deep.
Oh yeah, but not recently.
Yeah, it happened the first couple of years, but yeah, the last 2 years, it's kind of been played out. I guess instead of me framing it as why do baseball fans have a problem with it, I'll get to the other question, the question that Major League Baseball and the NBA and all these leagues are asking: if parity's better for the NBA, parity's better for the NFL, but you don't think. Do you think that the baseball's changes have been better for the league from a viewership, fan base, money perspective?
From a money perspective,
perspective, obviously, but from a viewership and fan base perspective, is it better?
You're probably getting more attention down the stretch, but that first round is so short, three games. I can't imagine that there's a ton of attention being paid to that in the course of the NFL season. NFL just overshadows everything, so probably not. Okay, a couple of quick things to get to. Number one, if you haven't seen it, TMZ has pictures. Go to TMZ.com. That Bill Belichick has changed the name of his boat. It used to be called 8 Rings. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants and then 6 with the Patriots. The boat was called 8 Rings. New paint job on the boat. Now it says 1 + 8 rings.
That's about all you need to see.
That's a Jordan Belichick rumor.
Well, yep. We thought we might get a day without the Bella drama, the belladonna, the Bella drama, as I like to call it. But here it is, because we also not only do we get more expansive additions to the rumors that we talked about yesterday, with obviously the 1 + 8 now, but also the New York Times reporting today that NFL Films pulled the plug on the UNC Hard Knocks show because Jordan Hudson asked for creative control and a cut.
Oh, man.
She asked for the money. She asked for creative control and a cut. And apparently NFL Films said, yeah, no, we don't need this.
Okay. So it's always fun to watch. And then one other thing, and Matthew, you would know this better than I.
How are you 23 years old without any experience, thinking you can play hardball at the contract table with HBO and NFL Films. NFL Films, I swear, if the president is a big enough fan of an NFL team, it wouldn't surprise me if NFL Films could just like walk in the White House one day and just walk wherever they wanted to get footage of like the president watching his team playing the Super Bowl. They are all powerful. Steve Sable is just, his name is getting you almost anywhere in this country. I can't believe she thought she could power play NFL Films. I'm sorry, you're not very intelligent if you think that's going to work.
And then the other thing tonight, you've got St. Louis City SC taking on Mini. Rumors floating, unsubstantiated, that if it's a bad performance tonight, that Olaf could be coaching his last game. You see it happening?
No, I think firing a coach for losing a U.S. Open Cup game when you're on a short week for an away game would be a bad idea. I just don't think. And also, my points
wouldn't be the first bad idea that they've had.
Fair enough. My point on Monday was that you can't fire Olaf until you see him get 2 or 3 games with at least 8 to 9 starters that you plan for him to have. He's not going to have that tonight. He might have that next Saturday at home against San Jose. I doubt he'll have it this Saturday away against Colorado.
Okay. It's 11:32 actually. If you haven't made lunch plans yet, you need to go to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It's only 2 minutes away from the soccer park, and it is awesome. They have great lunch specials. You see the toasted rav there on the right. They have great salads and wraps that I absolutely love. They've got $2 beer specials during the game today, and you can stop by and enjoy their great wings. So stop by Fenton Bar and Grill. They're going to have the game up on TV, and you're going to get the most dazzling, delicious trashed wings you'll ever try. And you want to head there on a Monday if you haven't tried them yet, because they've got 10 for $10 from 5 to 9 every Monday night. So great place today. If you want to watch the game, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. If you're playing golf this afternoon, you want a great place to go afterwards, Fenton Bar and Grill. If you want a great dinner tonight with your significant other, Fenton Bar and Grill. Business lunch tomorrow, Fenton Bar and Grill. It's on Rudder Road in Fenton. The service is impeccable. Say hi to Casey and Megan and the gang over there, and they will take care of you. Plus, the 2024 Maitre d' of the Year, Chuck, is there as well at the Fenton Bar and Grill. You'll have a great time at the Dive with a Vibe. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill. Tell them Randy sent you.
We're as usual, the chat coming in clutch. She's in college to learn, Rock. Come on.
Oh, there you go. That
Jeff Katubi, creative control and a cut. Does she think she's Hulk Hogan?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing.
What a fantastic
we
line.
appreciate you joining us on the Randy Carricker Show. Matthew, great work as always. Thank you.
Randy, thank you so much. I had a great time today. Guys, if you're mad about Ali Marmol, you got multiple options. One, you could hear him do a really good explanation of what happened, or 2, you could take a chill pill for once.
Yeah, if you're mad at Ollie, how about this? He's probably going to be your manager next year too.
Oh, Randy. The man knows how to turn the knife. Give him credit.
Thanks for being with us on Sports Hub STL. After the Cardinal game, tune in. We've got Cards Hub 365 and all of the reaction to all of the sports going on in St. Louis right here at Sports Hub STL.